This is the Rush Discush, where the discuss is Rush. Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rush Discush. This is an exciting episode because this is our first episode back having a proper pairing, battling out two songs. This is what we do on the Rush Discuss. If you're new here, Adam bracketed every single Rush song and we battle them out within a bunch of different topics and brackets. And we are starting a brand new bracket tonight.
Yes, we're starting the leftovers bracket. And the way that this bracket was derived was literally all the leftovers from all the pairings that I did before. Because I think I started with the epics, pairing those up, and then I went to the popular ones, and then it just kind of went there, and then I was left with a handful of songs, I think 10 songs, where it's like, well, these, or I guess 20 songs, I suppose, because I think there's 10 pairings.
We're going to be in this bracket
I might
for
be
a
wrong.
while.
I might be totally wrong, but it,
Okay.
yeah, there was just some leftovers, and I was like, all the other ones had a theme. I have no theme here other than that they were just leftovers. So
They're the leftovers.
yeah.
They're the meatloaf in the fridge.
But that's not to say that these songs aren't really good.
No, they're just not in the other brackets. They're still all excellent. Obviously.
It's all just kind of random.
Yeah, it is random. So I'm very interested to see how you ended up pairing these random
So
ones.
out of the random leftovers that I had, I still wanted to pick ones that I felt complemented each other and so made for a more interesting discussion. And I feel like this pairing goes very well together. So this is Hand Over Fist from Presto, the 1989 album, and then Carnies from Clockwork Angels, the final studio album. So there's a bit of a leap there, different styles completely, but I thought it was interesting that the music style was similar in a lot of ways and some of the same sorts of themes. But we'll get in there. What was your initial thought when you saw the pairings?
My initial thought was, I know exactly what I'm choosing and I don't even need to listen to them. But then I went and listened to them and I changed my mind. So this is going to be very interesting. And something we want to bring up is the day before every time we record an episode, that's going to be the next pairing. We will be posting a poll in our Instagram story that you guys get to choose your own choice out of the two. So
Yes.
based on the results that we got today, out of the 7 people that voted,
There might have been another one since.
no, it's true, but the
Bring up
consensus
live in real time.
live results here. But as I had checked it this afternoon, Hand Over Fist was winning.
Yep, 71%
Yeah.
of the 7 people. So that's 5 votes for that.
Yeah. So you guys think Hand Over Fist should be the winner? Let's see what we think. And we love hearing from you guys. So always feel free to comment and leave your thoughts and your, hey, you're wrong comments or whatever. Hey, we got our first hate comment, by the way, on an Instagram video.
Oh, that's true, on the Instagram. Yeah. We've had a couple interesting comments in the past on our YouTube videos, but that was definitely a first on the Instagram.
Yeah, I posted a Rush concert video and he's like, these phone recordings are terrible. And I was like, you don't have to watch them.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get into this pairing. What are we starting with?
So we're going to start with Hand Over Fist. And so what we like to do here is we'll listen to a little bit of the beginning so you have some musical context. We definitely encourage you to go and listen to the full songs on your own. I find that after someone's broken down something, especially if it's something that I'm not as familiar with, it's handy to go to listen to people explain what they like about it, kind of break down a little bit, and it enhances my experience with that piece of art. And so if these songs are ones that you don't particularly know or don't care for, hopefully you'll go back and listen again and see and find something new and maybe have a different perspective. And that's kind of why we're doing this. So to kick us off, let's listen to the start of Hand Over Fist. So I already love Alex's jangly guitar.
It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's super unique, and I feel like he doesn't do it in any other song that I can think of. I don't know how it came about. Obviously, I wasn't in the studio that day, but part of me just likes to believe that Alex was like, hey, watch this. And he starts this cool texture, and they're like, hey, let's use it. I have no idea. That's just probably nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell that he was experimenting with different guitar textures throughout the later 80s.
How do you create that sound? Don't know enough about guitar to know how that's done. Do you have any idea?
I could guess, but I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there who knows exactly what the whole chain was that he was using. But yeah, it's just a lot of time spent with your effects and your pedal board and just knowing exactly how you want to shape the sound and just exploring. And so one thing that when I first listened to Presto, I was not a huge fan of Alex's guitar sound because, previously he had a more rich, deeper timbre to his guitar. And this one, as you heard, it's just very jangly and very, like, there's no bottom to it, and it's...
Yeah, I always describe that as, like, tinny.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people that don't like the album complain about his guitar sound and there being no heft to it. But listening to this song over and over again this past week, I really came to appreciate what he's doing, because he's talked about how he kind of wanted to go away from traditional guitar does these chords and has some big hits and then it goes to solo and just same pattern over and over, that he wanted to explore with what the guitar could do. And then especially in the 80s when the synth was taking a more dominant role, being able to figure out how to support the song and fit in around the synths. I think that really helped shape his playing to then with Presto, with them trying to get back to their roots a little bit more, back to that three-piece band, still incorporating synths to an extent, but having more guitar forward. I think it's interesting to see the way that his sound was shaped and the textures that he was exploring. Because I think when you're just listening to mainstream rock and pop, guitar fits a very specific function, and it's more melodic and it's more about, these big chords into a giant solo, and people are very accustomed to what the guitar does there. And so if you're listening to Alex doing this sort of stuff, it can throw you off because it's like, well, this is what a guitar typically does. But I think using it more as orchestration is a really cool effect.
Yeah. Presto is one of those albums to me that I always forget is actually 80s. And somehow I have lumped Presto in my mind as 90s Rush. I mean, it's pretty close to 90s. Like, we're at the very tail end of the 80s, and we are getting into, like, more of that 90s sound anyways.
I mean, it's the Beethoven of their...
It really is. It's the transition.
Catalog.
It's a transition album for sure. And this is a huge difference in the way that Geddy sounds, too, because he is not his young, like, super high voice self or whatever, but also... the melodies are much different in this album. They're more, in my opinion, I guess, disjunct and less connected and more like, is this a melody? What are they doing here? And I feel like if you gave someone Hand Over Fist as their very first Rush song, they would be like, I don't even know what I'm listening to right now. Like you were saying, like Presto wasn't your favorite before. Like that is, I I think it's an acquired taste for sure. I do really enjoy Hand Over Fist as a song. I think it's very catchy. It gets stuck in my head, and it's very like what drives it forward really is the rhythmic portion of it versus like an interesting melody. Like there really isn't a super interesting melody, but there is some really cool, interesting melodic moments. If that makes sense. Versus like the melody is not going to get stuck in your head really, but it is going to like the rhythms are going to get stuck in your head. Yeah. And so that's what's really like enticing about Hand Over Fist. And so, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but when you first presented the pairing to me, my first gut reaction was, oh, Hand Over Fist, absolutely. But it's not even a competition with the Carnies, whatever. I have nothing against Clockwork Angels either. I love Clockwork Angels. I love everything about Clockwork Angels. But I was like, Hand Over Fist is a bop, though. Like, absolutely. And so, the more that we've talked about it, the more I'm like, man, this really is a great track. And so, we're going to get into Carnies in just a second, but that was my first reaction was Hand Over Fist, which I found was interesting with the Instagram poll because I was like, oh, they think the same. But listen, then I went and we're going to get into Carnies, but then I listened to Carnies and I was like, I don't know anymore. I really don't know. So do you have any other thoughts about Hand Over Fist?
Oh, I do. But I do think that up front, so what we kind of do is we do our initial takes and then listen to both. And then we'll come back and dive into the lyrics and dive into more stuff. But with Carnies, I do actually, while we're listening, I'm going to read the insert for this track. So just to give some background about Clockwork Angels for those who may have stopped listening to Rush past a certain point. This is a true concept album. So Rush has done longer pieces in the past and they did stories, but they never had a full-on concept album where start to finish was just one story. And so Clockwork Angels, it follows Owen Hardy around it's basically a coming of age story. And there's a novel that went along with it that Neil wrote with Kevin J. Anderson, which then became a trilogy. And I recommend reading it. I think that the second book in that series is actually like just a really great standalone just novel that, you could give it to someone who has no idea about Rush, no idea about Clockwork Angels. You could give that to them and they would enjoy reading it. It's just a very well done novel. But anyway, I digress. But where Carnies takes place in the story is Owen has run away from home to find out what the world has for him because the society that they live in is very manufactured to be orderly. The watchmaker oversees everything, makes sure everything goes according to plan. And if wherever you are in life, that's where you are. And so Owen decides he's going to leave and he goes and he gets up with a carnival. He starts working there. And so if you're listening to the album for the first time, I highly recommend having the lyrics with you because there are parts of the story that lead into the songs. So it gives you a little bit more context. Because these songs are written with some sound effects in the background, little things to help create the world. And so having that little bit extra really helps. And so when I start this song, I'm actually going to read the first bit because it actually times out pretty well right before the big riff starts. I found work with the traveling carnival, and for the Midsummer Festival in Crown City, our games and rides were set up right in the middle of the square beneath the angels. One night, amid the noise and confusion of the crowded midway, I saw a man working with wires and wooden barrels. He stood and turned, the anarchist. Holding a clockwork detonator in his hand, I called out to warn the crowd. Then suddenly he threw the device at me, and I caught it automatically. Just as the people turned to look my way, I escaped, but in disgrace, and fled down the winding Canyon River to the sea. That's just much heavier sound.
It's a completely different era. I mean,
yeah.
So different from almost 90s Rush coming out of the 80s to 2011. When was that?
Yeah, they were in the studio for 2011. 2010 to 2011, they were in the studio.
So many years. So many years later. But the reason that I thought that I changed my mind from Hand Over Fist to Carnies is, first of all, just the whole story behind it and everything like that is so cool, and the whole narrative, and I like context and stuff like that. But the chorus of Carnies is probably one of my favorites in maybe the whole album, but I don't want to say like all of Rush. But it's interesting how both of the tracks are very driving in nature, and like the chorus in Carnies is very much that way, where you're just kind of like going, and Geddy's voice as well is something that I really love in Carnies. His voice is so mature. I mean, obviously you can't compare, like, he's a different age, but like the sound is more mature, and like the track is more mature, but then also not the other one's immature. I don't mean that. I don't want you to think like, oh, well, Hand Over Fist is an immature track. I don't mean that. I just mean like the roundness of the sound in Carnies and the thickness, and I totally changed my mind the second I remembered how much I love the chorus in Carnies. So then it made me want to choose that one. But what are your thoughts on Carnies?
Yeah, I love the chorus of it. I love all the different effects that the guitar is doing, like the echoing stereo effect. Definitely listen to it with headphones, because you miss a lot if you don't. But just the going back and forth, the going there, and just kind of, it's really painting the text there. Like, he's not sure what's going on. He's just like, he's in a new place anyway, but now he's having to deal with this situation.
What a cool way to introduce the song with the insert, and it makes me want to be like, well, what's going to happen next? And then you get this epic song that you get to listen to as well. So I'm just like, it's a whole experience. Yeah,
I mean, it's great. They did an excellent job with this album, where all the songs are kind of inflection points. It's the songs are what are driving the plot forward, and so you get little bits of exposition leading up to it, but then the songs are the most important. It's not like, other forms of media sometimes where you get all the cool stuff in the explanation. You watch the movie, or you listen to the piece or whatever, and you're like, well, why didn't we just get to have the explanation be the main thing that that we experienced? But the songs really are at the forefront with this, and this song is a perfect example of that. And with the lyrics, I love how the chorus is from Owen's point of view, and then everything else is describing. It's narration.
I enjoyed the lyrics quite a bit too. I did listen to both of these with the lyrics in front of me, and that was another driver towards wanting to choose Carnies as well. Yeah, this is an interesting pairing for sure.
So I guess I'll hit on one more thing musically before I deep dive into the lyrics, because the lyrics are what made the switch for me, because I think I did an opposite switch from you.
What?
But so the I thought it was really funny that both of these songs are like happened to have some of Alex's very rare pinch harmonics. Because he doesn't use pinch harmonics very often. And for those of you who don't know what that is, so a natural harmonic on a guitar is, if you've ever seen someone lightly put their finger on a fret and then it kind of has this bell tone to it. You can do that just with an acoustic guitar. You're just stopping the string from fully vibrating, but it's still able to sound. And so you're cutting off the fundamental tone and you're able to hear the overtones. With a pinch harmonic or an artificial harmonic, it doesn't matter where your placement of the fretting finger is. You're holding the pick such that when you strum the string, you're stopping the full vibration at the time of your plucking. And so then it creates a high-pitched sound. You can do it acoustically, but when you have your guitar going through distortion and overdrive and other effects, that's what really makes that squeal sound. And so in the opening riff of Carnies, you get that kind of squealy sound that he does.
It's so rock and roll.
And then if you go back to listen to Hand Over Fist, there's a couple moments where he just wails away at there, and it's a really cool effect and really paints the text. But I just thought that was a funny happenstance.
That is very interesting, the way that you paired that.
But so the lyrics that stood out to me from each of these, first with Carnies, is the line, how I prayed just to get away, to carry me anywhere. Sometimes the angels punish us by answering our prayers.
That is yes. Yes. That is when I went on a walk to listen to both of these and was looking at the lyrics while I'm walking, and I'm just like, oh God. And that's when I was like texting you, and I was like, we need to talk about this. I can't wait to do this episode because, oh my gosh. Yeah, the lyrics just like lit me up inside. And I was like, I know my choice now. I know my choice after I went on that walk. And I was like, I'm sorry, Hand Over Fist, but these lyrics are just too good.
And it's been interesting. So I've been reading the Old Testament this year, and I mean, you see that time and time again with like the people in the Old Testament, the kings, and just the people in general. They have it in their mind what they really, really want, and then they get what they thought they want, and then it turns out to be nothing that they expected. And it's just this pattern goes over and over where the people think that they somehow know better than people who've come before, or people who are wiser and who've been saying, don't do this. And I feel like that's kind of this point of the story for Owen. He's like, everything before this, he's like, man, I'm gonna make my way in the world. I'm gonna find out what this world is all about. And then in a split second, it's really brought how unsafe he is, like how small he is in the world. And that because the after effects of him getting tossed the device, later in the lyrics, it talks about how it says the angry crowd moves toward him with bad intent. So they think he's the one. And so now he has no hope of trying to make his case or anything, and now he's an outcast, just in that split second. So he thought that he wanted to explore the world, and he got the exploration. But like he said, sometimes the angels punish us by answering our prayers. And then that kind of becomes something that later throughout the story, as he's trying to figure out what he actually believes, and I think that kind of becomes a catalyst for him to start thinking about his actions more than just being impulsive.
I have nothing to say. I just think that's great. No, I think that that's awesome. The lyrics, again, are just was one of the driving deciders for me. Did you want to dive into any of the Hand Over Fist lyrics that stuck out to you?
Oh, yes. Because, like I said, I think that the lyrics for Hand Over Fist really touched me in a way that it hasn't before. Like really diving in and thinking about it. Because before, you get the start, hand over fist, paper around the stone. And it's just like, cool, rock, paper, scissors. Like, what's the point of this? And I just never really listened super closely to the lyrics. I just thought it was a fun tune.
Yeah.
For all the stuff that we talked about, interesting rhythms, not a super interesting melody. And so it just kind of lived kind of towards the bottom of the songs on that album for me. But digging into the lyrics this time, the one that really stood out to me, or I guess so he's kind of painting this picture of the person in this song, like whatever perspective it's from, kind of a relationship dynamic of like I could go out on my own or we could try to be together and make it work, or that he's lost in a world of my own. I thought I could run alone, thought I could run through the night alone. Hand over hand doesn't seem so much. Hand over hand is the strength of the common touch. And then, how can we ever agree? Like the rest of the world, we grow farther apart. I swear you don't listen to me, holding my hand to my heart, holding my fist to my racing heart. Take a walk outside myself in some exotic land, greet a passing stranger, feel the strength in his hand, feel the world expand. I feel my spirit resist, but I open up my fist, lay hand over hand over fist. And just
dang,
the idea that we have the choice to walk through life ready to fight, ready to just be right and hold all of our attention in our fist, and like not be willing to see anyone as anything other than an adversary. Or we can open our hand and be vulnerable to a stranger's touch and vulnerable to connecting with someone and confronting things that we don't understand or people that we may have animosity towards. We can approach them with a fist or an open hand. And our spirit wants to fight. Our spirit wants to protect ourselves from perceived threats. But when we have a desire to open ourselves, then we can find the strength, like you said, the strength of the common touch. And so letting hand over fist, which then leads into the rock, paper, scissors metaphor, because paper beats rock. And so I feel like the message of the song is, not to be too cheesy with it, but that love conquers all. That when you choose to face the world with not necessarily always love, but with an openness and a willingness to appreciate differences and appreciate even your enemies, and you choose to come to life with your hand open, that is more powerful than coming to life with the fist and ready to fight. So it's really hit me harder today listening to those lyrics.
Welp, we are at an impasse. No, that was a beautiful overview, and the lyrics I did enjoy as well when I was on my walk looking at the lyrics while I was listening, and I was like, wow, this is a lot deeper than anybody gives it credit for, especially because a lot of people hate Presto. So they don't, so they don't give it a chance. And so, yeah, what a beautiful overview of what that song is really saying. And I mean, I always love digging into the lyrics of any Rush song that Neil has written, because then you just get a little piece of who he was and appreciate him so much more. And what a beautiful thing that he wrote, and the sentiments that he shared. And I think bringing that up even more is making it hard for me to actually make a final decision here, because there's so much about Carnies that I wouldn't want to give up because of how great it is, and how great Hand Over Fist is. But hey, that's what this podcast is, everybody. It sucks.
Yeah, having to pick, because I mean, going into the lyrics and music of Carnies, like I said, I came into this episode solidly on Hand Over Fist, but talking about Carnies again and where it sits in Clockwork Angels, it's a very different piece of art, because Presto is definitely like an essay album. I like to think of that.
Yeah.
Like Hold Your Fire, Presto counterparts are very much like essays and examining human condition and interpersonal relationships. And so you get these very deep glimpses of human nature. And then the story of Clockwork Angels is that coming to terms with what it means to grow up in a world that you don't fully understand.
Yeah.
And being kind of left to the devices of fate, of the world, and how do you manage coming to terms with just your own existence in a world that you feel so small.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make it big, you're trying to make things happen, and it just, you don't feel like you can get ahead, and then eventually coming to the realization that, you know what, I don't have to try to control everything. I can control what I can control, and I can find satisfaction in tending my garden. And so I think
So
that I think Carnies is that point where he starts realizing he has to grow up. And so it's really hard.
As much as I love the explanation that you gave about Hand Over Fist, if I had to choose this one, I would still choose Carnies, because I would be more sad to never listen to Carnies again than I would be for Hand Over Fist, even though the lyrics are something incredible.
Yeah. Thinking about it more, I just remembered. Okay, so both solos from this song are great. I love both those solos. I think, though, that Carnies has better moments of synchronicity between all of them.
Yeah. I mean, that was also just a completely different era for them as well. Yeah. And so I'm not saying they weren't in sync in Presto, but Presto as a whole for me just feels very like, we're here, now we're there, now we're over here. And like, it's not that it's not cohesive, but it does feel like there's just different parts that are coming together, versus Carnies is at the end of their musical journey and they just are so like meshed.
Yeah. I do think it's funny though that both songs have like moments where they go off and do something else and then go back to it. But I think Carney's great vocal stuff from Geddy, where it's got the solo, has some stuff, and then he comes in on the
Nice rendition there.
Yes.
No, the O's are some of my favorite part of that song. I love the quality of Geddy's voice in this song as well. It's very satisfying to the ears and the soul.
Yeah.
He sounds great in this album.
He does. I really enjoy his singing, especially in this song. That chorus is just such a great melody. And yeah, using his
yeah, that's the part that always
higher register.
Yeah, and it's like clear high register too. It's not like he's reaching for these notes. Like it's full voice, really, really nice.
Well, I think it's interesting because he's using it's a very good use of a mixed voice to get to that.
You would know better because I'm a string player and you're a vocalist. To me, it sounded like full voice, but also I don't know as much.
That's how you can tell a good mix is that it's not strained, but there is that lighter quality to it when he gets there, and it rings out a little bit more.
You're right.
And so he just manages to have a really good tone there without full chesting it up there, which would have taken away from the power and interest of that note. And
that was a good way to describe it. Yeah, definitely.
It's a very good vocal performance on that track. And I think it's the chorus and the band unity where there's a part in the latter part of the song where you have the guitar doing the riff, then the drums join in on that same riff, and then the bass joins in on that same riff.
Oh, yes, that's a great moment as well.
And you just really get a sense that they're just having a blast. And
this is a total tangent, but which is why I loved that they had the Anarchist at the concert that we went to, the second Rush concert that we went to on July 12th?
13th?
No, it's the 12th because we went Saturday the 11th.
And it was
Wait,
Sunday
I can't
in
count.
between.
Sorry, the 13th. Anyways, that was great. Clockwork Angels is great. I think I have my decision.
Yeah, I think I do too. I think I'm going to have to go with Carnies as my pick.
I hope you guys in your Instagram poll aren't too upset that we are choosing. No, I think that it's worth, listening to them and then like, hey, do you have the same answer? Is it still your original poll answer? Or do you change your mind? Because that's how it was for both of us. And I also choose Carnies. So I would be safe to say that the episode winner, the first pairing of the leftovers, the meatloaf category is...
Meatloaf categories. I'll change it to that. No, I'm kidding.
No, is Carnies. Yes.
And so then the next week, we've got another interesting pairing, not quite as far apart from each other, but we've got Cut to the Chase from Counterparts and Peaceable Kingdom from Vapor Trails.
Ooh, okay, we'll get into those next week.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting discussion because they're, like I said, they're closer to each other, but after that long gap, and just coming back as a new band. So yeah, I think it'll be an interesting discussion. I love both those songs.
Until next time.
Yeah. Have a good one.